why do we watch horror films? There are thrills in the illicit.
You have goosebumps, you are terrified.
It just descends into absolute mayhem.
And those arms flew off. That was incredible.
Jordan Peele obviously gets the terror along with the levity much better than anyone.
The screams that must have erupted in theaters.
Just sheer terror.
The scariest movie that's ever been made.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 3, our little 101 Scariest Movie Moment, the new Shudder kind of original countdown that they're doing every week. And we are here to kind of go through their list. We are in like the 70s and 60s on their list right now. So that's why we're here, is to kind of tell you guys our thoughts on these picks. Do we think they belong where they are? Will we pick something different? And if you guys don't have Shudder, this is a great way to kind of get an idea of what they're choosing and, us as fans kind of talking about it. So, Mr. Uncle Bill, welcome, man. How do you like doing these shows? Fun?
I love doing these shows, but let me tell you something. What they did on this list was shameful. I'm really I don't even know. There's a couple on here. We'll talk about them, and you guys can be the judges. I'm not even going to come down that hard on them, because I feel like that maybe this list is not made from the same kind of generation that I'm in. So
Right.
It's a different type of list. I'll just say that. Yeah.
It is. We've been talking about this too, because obviously we had 100 scariest movie moments list, I think back in 06 or whatever we realized it was from Bravo. So if you remember that, it's kind of a spin-off of that. It's very similar, but now we've got all these movies that came out after 2006 or 8 or whatever that first one premiered, and we're getting, those kind of mixed in as well. And they're kind of getting trickled in. You're not sure why. Some of them, I'm not even sure are they considered classics, because I'm going to tell you, there was a couple in this list I've never seen before.
No, same with me. I was like, what in the hell? At least 2 or 3 of them I've never even heard of. And then they've got, interspliced with that, they've got stuff that would be on, my top 10 list. So, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Very polarizing list, I think, so far. If you guys have been watching the first 2 episodes we did, we've talked about that. If not, go back and check out those. They're going to be in the, in our both Dead Pit Radio's page and my page. They're both in there. So if you guys haven't checked out episode 1 and 2, but we are starting episode 3 at number 75. Now, before we get into the list, maybe we can just run through the chat really quick just to say what's up to who is here. You know how we roll. We like to keep these about an hour long. So Saturn Video. Yeah,
it was, it was interesting. Punisher Batman fan, he's in here. Looking forward to hearing everyone's opinions on this. Jeff Overing just says, hey to Garrett, he don't give a fuck about me. So that's fine, Jeff. That's fine.
Thanks, Jeff.
That horror critic says, I know Uncle Bill's going to really love a segment for the placement of a specific movie, yeah. Gus the Fuss Amaretti's in here.
Where's CK? What's up, Gus?
Stuntman Mark, good to see you, man. The monkey, Garrett, you got the monkey in here.
Monkey.
Scratch.
That's like my monkey shine post. What's up, Scratch?
Anthony Luzzi.
What up? What's up, Anthony?
Doing, man. I actually watched a couple of his videos earlier about the Resident Evil stuff. Mel's in here. What's up, kids?
What's up, Mel? If you haven't checked out Mel, she was on S'mores Indoors show tonight. Go check that episode out.
Huck's in here.
Oh, hey Gus, not us, but Gus.
Yeah,
What's
of
up,
course. Mama Blu-ray's in here.
Jeez, we gotta get Gus on the show. Damn. Hey, Mama Blu-ray, what's up?
And now the comments are starting to.
All right, so they're all starting to smash on. What
Yeah.
we're about to talk about here. All right.
My audio is high. Okay, well I tried to fix that earlier. You little.
That might have been my bad. So.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah, let him know how his audio is, guys, and me too. Are we good? Because I think my headphones were a little bit low, so I told him to turn his mic up.
Jesus, there's a lot of people in here. Okay, Jesse Swarbuck's in here. Rex Man's
What's up, Jesse?
in here. Sexy Rexy.
With CK, I don't think CK works on Wednesdays.
No, he's off right now.
He's off on Wednesdays.
File a complaint with the union. Oh, Metal Man's
But
on
if you,
here.
but, what's up, Metal Man? Look at that picture of you and Joe. I love it.
I
But
have
if you
never
guys do
seen-
want to see CK, then you're gonna have to come back tomorrow night because we got a big Vinegar Syndrome show tomorrow late night. It's one of our late night shows, so come back tomorrow. You'll see CK. What do we got? A little super chat action in there? Who is it?
Looks like it's Mikey Whipwreck.
Oh, from EC Dub. EC Dub. Mikey Whipwreck. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, the whippersnapper. I love
Okay, I've adjusted my volume for the last time. If it ain't like where it needs to be, y'all are just going to have to choke on the death dong, I guess.
it. Huck says we sound good.
The Triangle
Yeah.
of Terror reunites tomorrow. That should be our new faction. It's like the Diamond Cutter. Just do something but that.
So what we do is we do the Triangle of Terror, and then when Steve comes, we have to turn it into the Diamond, yeah.
Right. That's actually not a bad gimmick. Be like in a cult, we just like put it up over our heads.
That's it. By the thing is, I know how Wes works. By the end of the night, there'll be a Triangle of Terror shirt on the page, ready to go.
All right, so I've gotten to everybody on here. I think I can get on.
All right,
now.
well, we'll get back to you guys. We're gonna get into this list now. Let's talk about number 75. So again, what I want to really focus on here is 101 scary movie moments. We've already seen now. This is more like movies. I don't think they're doing a piece of a movie, so I don't think you're going to see a movie on here twice, basically. So what's interesting to me is that we're still on the higher end of this 101, which 101, if you make the list, I mean, obviously that's cool, but that's still a lot of movies I feel like that they're going to really talk about. So we're still on that like kind of higher tier system of, above 50 now. So that's where it gets interesting. And then first one on this list, I'm going to tell you, I've never seen this movie.
Never seen it.
Guys in the chat, you can let us know if it's good. I've actually heard I've heard the name before. I think the director must have did something recent because I keep hearing people bring them up. Even after watching these clips, it's not something I really feel like I need to watch personally. I mean, unless you guys are saying it was absolutely phenomenal. I thought it was,
It's a little.
that is Annihilation.
Yeah, Annihilation. I've never even heard of. But here's the interesting thing: I was watching this in there, and Savannah was like, "Oh yeah, I watched this like while you were asleep," and I was like, "Well, how was it?" And she was like, "It's just really weird." I'm like, "Okay." So it was like, it actually makes me kind of want to go back and watch it. Just kind of the premise of the movie. I've never seen it, but it's apparently about like this alternate universe where everything's DNA gets like smashed together. And like if something kills you, it takes a part of your DNA. It's like The Thing, in a way, but there's aspects of it that reminded me of The Thing, but it's a little CGI for me. Like
that's the one thing that my takeaway from it is that it didn't. And I know obviously horror can kind of spike in different ways, but this, as they were showing it, it didn't remind me of like a horror movie, but they were showing a lot of the stuff, and it was a lot of CGI, and there was like some kind of mutant bear that was like taking people's like souls or something. I don't know. It was weird looking. But then everybody that was like, the people that are talking about each movie, they were all like, oh, it was so scary. Like there was flesh on the bear's face. And I'm kind of like, it was just very CGI heavy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these people just say how great it looked. I'm like, I don't know. It just didn't seem like my type of horror, to be honest. But I mean, heck, if it's going to be like, hey, maybe we'll go back and check it out, like that's cool. But I don't know. I just thought it was a very weird movie to be placed on this list personally, because I really haven't heard much about this.
So there's a couple of different kind of comments coming in. There's some people that are like, oh, it's amazing. And then there's some people that are like, it's not very good, and Ex Machina is better. But
Ex Machina and Men, that's the director that did this. I remember. That's why I heard about it recently.
So here's the thing, though. Like, anytime I see CGI like that, it just automatically takes me out of a movie. Like, I like the concept about it, just hearing about it, but, like, am I going to sit there and, like, watch that and just be, like, transported into, like you are with practical effects? No. I'm just not. Like, it just makes me cringe.
I agree. It really does take me out of it, to be honest. It really does.
What is the deal with Men? Have you ever seen this yet, Garrett?
So, I have. Well, here's the thing. I have it. I watched it, and something came up where I had to like do a show or something, so I shut it off, and I haven't gone back and finished it yet. But I mean, it's pretty much been spoiled for me at this point. I probably will go back and check it out, but I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was actually pretty interesting. Of a flick as far as what I saw. So I think it's probably worth checking out. And people said it gets even wilder at the end. So just out of that, my curiosity for that, I think I'm going to go back and check it. But I've heard good things about it, actually.
Yeah, I've heard like mixed reviews. Like some people absolutely like trash it, and then some people like they love it. So I don't know. I'd kind of like to see it just on that. But let's move along because neither one of us have seen this movie. There's only so much you can say. I think both of us
it was
have
a
probably
very weird movie to have in this list, especially when you look back and you're like, this was ahead of like Salem's Lot. This was ahead of Changeling. You know what I mean? Like that's to me is what really boggles me the most about this whole thing.
I think they're trying to be way too like magnanimous about the whole thing. Like some of these movies are not going to stand up over time. I'm sure. Like they should really kind of weigh that out. But anyway, number 74 is a movie that we've both seen. I guarantee it, and that we both probably think pretty highly of. Which number 74 is Cujo, Stephen King's.
Yeah. Again, this list that we're going to talk about today, they've got some really good movies in here, which to me is cool that they talk about all these movies, but I still think a lot of these are pretty high on the list. Like Cujo to me, I mean, that's pretty iconic and pretty freaking scary of a movie, and it still holds up to this day. So to see it up at 74, I don't know. Not
as bad as another one on this list.
What else is coming, you know? What?
It's not as bad as another one on this list. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
There's a couple on this list tonight that I'm like, why are these in the 70s? And where's this list going? Because like, what is under 50, you know?
Cujo's one of those movies to me that's like, it's almost like a haunted house movie because the majority of it takes place in like one spot. Like the main like kind of sequence at the end is in the car, and it goes on for like a really, really long time. And that's a classic sequence. That's the sequence they reference in the show. There's other stuff that happens throughout the movie, but most people remember the end of the movie as being the big, mostly because Dee Wallace gives like an amazing performance, and so does the kid. Who's the kid? He was on Family Ties, I think.
Was little Jonathan or whatever from Who's the Boss? Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget his name off the top of my head. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm a big fan of Cujo. I feel like it still stands up. It's one of the King adaptations that they're fantastic, and it definitely deserves to be on this list. To me, I just felt like it was a little bit high considering how effective that movie still is, personally. So, I was looking. I was like, wait, somebody said there's a remake. I was like, no, there isn't. But he said it needs a remake with Princess Puffins, just called Puffins.
Puffins. That would be awesome. So, Video Knob says he hates Cujo. I don't know. I didn't know anybody hated Cujo, but I guess you could.
Come on, you can't hate Cujo. You got to be a Stephen King guy. You got Christine in the picture over there. Cujo's rad. I like it.
Danny Pintaro is the guy.
Oh, that's the little boy's name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Brent Madison says he still has Cujo lunchbox.
Wow, they had a lunchbox for Cujo?
I had no idea.
That's pretty... I don't think they have a lunchbox for Annihilation, you know what I mean? But so I think that's pretty badass, man, for sure.
Jesse Swarbuck says that he likes Cujo and Man's Best Friend, which is a movie that does not get any recognition, but it's awesome.
Doesn't. Nope, not at all. It's a cool one as well. I wish I'd have brought it out. I have a baseball bat with like the dog bite marks and claws in it, and it's signed by Dee Wallace.
See, this is what I'm saying though. Anything with Lance Henriksen in a certain era was amazing. If you think back, like, okay, he did Near Dark, he did Aliens, he did Stone Cold, he did Man's Best Friend, he did... I'm sure there's some that I'm leaving out. Oh, Pumpkinhead. Like, I mean, he did a ton of stuff that was just insanely good around that era.
Oh, Video Knob said he likes Devil Dog. I like Devil Dog too, actually. I think that's a really underrated one.
Devil Dog.
I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's got a Blu-ray. I forget who put it out, but it's a cool movie.
Wasn't that on that Shriek show? I think I had seen that off the Shriek show 3-packs that used to come out.
It could have been. It's got a who's in it? There's a famous actress in it. Is it I think is it the sister of, I don't know. For some reason I'm thinking it's one of the who's the chick that's in the new Halloween there?
The chick
The older one from the original.
Are you saying Jamie Lee Curtis or
No.
Kylie Richards?
Yeah, I think Devil Dog has the other Richards in it. Kim Richards. I think. I could be wrong.
yeah.
I think it was her when she was young. I think. I don't know. I might be wrong. Oh, Zoltan's a good one. Hound of Dracula. I like that one too.
Yeah, they're referencing.
I do like a lot of these killer dog movies, actually.
Obscure killer dog.
Dude, I have the Criterion of that. I don't even know if they can sell that anymore. I have that Criterion. White Dog. Wow, that's funny.
All right, so moving on.
Hound of Dracula.
Wait,
It's
there's
a good
more.
one. But we will move on. But yeah, so we've got Cujo at number 74. And number 73 to me is, again, another good one. And I'm like, I think it should have been above 50, a top 50. And that's The Fly with, oh my God, it's late, guys. Holy
Jeff Goldblum?
crap. Yeah, Goldblum, Jeff Goldblum, and Gina Davis. Yeah. That's at number 73. And man, great movie. And I'm shocked that it's where it is. I think this probably deserved to be way higher on the list.
I think we were just talking about this, like on the last show when we were talking about Cronenberg movies. We were like, we know The Fly is going to be on here, and it'll probably. I think
we did say that.
Might have said it'd probably be higher on the list, but I did not expect it to come in this low either. And also, the scene that they referenced was not the scene that I would have put on that list. The scene that I always remember from The Fly is the one where he pukes on the guy's arm, and it melts his arm away. That's what I would have referenced. But
yeah, this was the arm wrestling scene, and I don't know if they're trying to, just be different. And then a part of you is kind of like, so we're not going to see The Fly later down the road here on this list. They haven't done any repeats yet, and I really think they're not going to do a lot of things based on what we're going to see later, and we'll definitely talk about that. But what do you guys think at The Fly being this high on the list in the 70s still for this top 101? Again,
this guy hates everything. I hate Jeff Goldblum too. Fuck you.
He's not liking this list so far, I'll tell you that. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting. It's just very, very interesting.
I would not.
Went from The Fly to doing apartment commercials.
I would not have picked that scene, and I would definitely not have picked that placement, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it's another classic. So we have two classics in the 70s right here, in my opinion, and then one movie that's just kind of more current that I really don't know much about.
Is The Fly Cronenberg's best movie? Not in my opinion, no. But it's maybe like his most watchable or most I don't know.
I would say, would you say it's it's not his best movie? Would you say it's the one that people talk about the most? I would say probably. You think?
Yeah. It's just, I think it's his most popular and maybe most mainstream of all the movies that he's ever made. And I think that was because of the cast. That cast was really popular at the time that movie was made. I think his best, Jesus Christ, if I had to pick his best movie, that would be almost impossible. But for me, his best movie is probably Videodrome. And then, I'd probably put a couple more ahead of The Fly. But I don't know.
Well, we've seen him already on this list a couple times. The Brood was last week, right?
Yeah. He'll be on it again. We know there's a couple of scenes coming.
I'm assuming Videodrome's going to probably be on there.
Scanners is going to be on there, and it should be pretty high.
That's right. Scanners will definitely be on there. But yeah, Cronenberg's great, man. I mean, his work is very different. Again, I haven't seen that new one, but I'm hearing a lot of mixed, more a little bit on the negative, I think.
Me too.
Did you check it out yet or no?
I haven't seen it, but honestly, like the reviews it's been getting have kind of like shooed me away from it because everybody was shitting on it, like that had seen it that were in our circle or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, not that is going to keep me from what I'll see it eventually, but I'm not going to pay $20 or something like that for it. I know that.
Right.
Not that Steve ever.
People writing like even the Dead Zone. Like I forgot that's him. Like that's a great one.
Yeah. And there's a scene in the Dead Zone that might actually make it too. The scissor scene. So we'll see. Okay, so let's see what we got. Next,
72, another classic, man. Talk about it.
This one is another one I was like, you got to be fucking joking me, man. Like, in terms of iconic imagery and just the scene that they reference, this would be in the top 20 to me. It really would. So maybe the top 25, but definitely.
You know what? You just don't know what their you just don't know what their criteria is, because when I look at this and say scary, not in 2020, but I think going back and being like, well, if I was in this situation kind of thing, like, and just the iconicness of the movie itself, like, I would have put it way higher. I absolutely love this movie. And I think it still holds up personally. But I know other people I've heard, they're like, it doesn't really hold up now.
It holds up, trust me. Number 72 is The Wicker Man, though. The original Wicker Man, thank God. And the scene they reference is, of course, like the final scene, which, if anybody's not seen this by now, then, probably spoilers, but I don't understand. Like, that image, to me, is like one of the classic images. Like, and in terms of twist endings and just like, scary kind of twist to a movie, it's got to be one of the best, right?
Suspenseful, very suspenseful.
And it's number 72?
72, yeah. Wicker Man is already in. Yeah, you know what's funny about Wicker Man? It's most people love it, but I still don't feel like it's a movie that really comes around. Like, people don't talk a lot about it. I'm considering on how classic of a movie it really is. Just doesn't seem like it's a topic of conversation much often, but I know a lot of people really, really like it, except Old Curly Jaws likes the Nick Cage one. He said better, but that was to be expected, I think.
To me, though, like, the scariest part about that movie is just how everyone acts. Like, they're always, throughout that movie, even up to the end, they're always like super happy and they're singing and they're like, just because like the whole thing is like a festival and nobody knows really what's going on. I mean, the main character doesn't know what's going on and you're seeing the world through him. But, the whole thing is completely a different tone than most horror films, which at the end makes it even more kind of crazy and devastating, though. But I don't know. I just think that should be a lot higher than 72.
You know what reminds me of? You know what? Somebody brings up a good point over here. I bet Midsummer is going to be higher than Wicker Man.
That would be fucking ridiculous because Midsummer is basically like a remake.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love Midsummer, but I think that they're going to put that up there. That's got to be on this list. I mean, you would think, but it's just crazy that it's above what really inspired it, I think. Oh, man. It was so good. The performances were great. You know what makes me think of another movie that this makes me think of, and it has nothing to do with it, but I don't know if it's just maybe the way it was filmed or And it's a movie that I don't think is going to be on this list, but I don't think it's a movie that's talked about at all, is Westworld. We never talked about that movie.
No, man, but I watched that movie when I was a young kid, and it always freaked me the fuck out. Yul Brynner.
Dude, that's a great movie. Do you think that would be on this list?
I don't think so. It's not a horror film, really. It's a sci-fi film, if anything.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked that out, it's a great one. Westworld is a cool movie. I just love the tone of that movie and the story and whatnot.
Me too. It's completely different. It's not completely different, but the series is a completely different kind of tone than the movie was. I actually prefer the movie.
Oh, I never watched the series or whatever, but no, I never saw it. But I thought Future World was actually pretty decent too, which is like the sequel, and that's the one nobody really talks about. I thought it was all right. Yeah, look at Maniac Exorcism. He says, I never knew. I knew the ending of Wicker Man, and still that last scene made me my gut's not up. Yeah, it does work.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's why I say, like, there's no way in the world that movie should be 72. But somebody mentioned here that like A24 films could be like the top 20. Like, we don't know who's making these lists. I know it ain't us or anybody that's like, as serious as into that kind of world as we are right now. But
I mean, hey, I would be fine if Hereditary made the top 10. Like, that wouldn't piss me off because I think that's one of the most modern classics that we're going to get, that we've gotten. So to me, I'm like, you know what? I could see it in top 10. But, what we're going to get is like, if the freaking Nun or something gets put on this list, like that's going to be a problem, right? Like, oh, the scene of the Nun where the guy was locked in the coffin. Yeah, well, the rest of the movie was freaking god awful. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm worried about is like that.
I just have a feeling that like stuff like The Conjuring is going to be in like the top 10 or something like that. And then
Annabelle will be up there.
Yeah. Meanwhile, The Changeling is like what, fucking the 80s or something like that. So okay.
Like, watch this, don't watch that. Yeah. But yeah, it's again, think about what we've talked about. Besides Annihilation right now in the 70s, we've got Cujo, Fly, Wicker Man. Those are pretty big names, in my opinion, that I think all deserve to be higher on this list. Now, the next one for me, I thought would have been way higher on this list as well. And as much as it's old, this is a scary, creepy movie that still has something about it that kind of rubs you the wrong way. And that's Nosferatu. And that's at number 71. Yeah.
I mean,
71.
even I know that should be higher. Like, that's not of my generation at all, or anything that I would have like seen like as like growing up or anything like that. But even like I know that the significance of that movie and like how it scared the shit out of people at that time period, it should be way higher than that. That's just ridiculous, man.
Oh, I mean, even when they were showing the clips from Nosferatu, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. But I used to like it. I used to watch it a lot when I was like really getting into horror and learning about like the early days of horror and stuff. And man, just watching Max Schreck and all that move around, it's like, dude, like there's been nobody that's done it like that. And it's still a creepy, eerie, movie just watching him in action. And it's considered a classic, and there's no reason that this should be in the 70s at all, even though if it's dated. Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, if it was top 10, like I wouldn't have been pissed. Like
I wouldn't have batted an eye.
It was kind of expected.
Yeah. I would have just kind of been like,
expected. Yeah. It could be. I mean, I think it could be. I just don't know how it would be above like Nosferatu or whatever.
Man, there's no way though. Like, okay, so that movie is probably one of the first movies that genuinely like scared the shit out of people. Like, that was like where the character was so like intensely scary that people were like passing out and stuff like that. And just, if you look at it even today, like the scenes that they showed on there, like the way that guy played that role was amazing. Like his walk, his mannerisms, like it was all like not human. And I don't know if I've seen anybody else get lost in a character that early on. Like that movie was made in the 20s or something like that. So, yeah, this is a good question. Like, where are they going to put Dracula? Because they've already had the Wolfman. And I suspect.
I mean, no, they had a Phantom of the Opera or whatever.
Yeah, and I suspect that like this list is not going to be kind to classic monsters. That seems to be.
They had Horror of Dracula already, which is another classic Dracula movie. But yeah, where do they put Bela Lugosi's Dracula? I mean, it's going to be higher than this. We know that now, but I mean, yeah, it is a very, very interesting list. I would just love to see. If it was just like, hey, we threw it together. Hey, all you people, come and talk about this. Like, or was there a round table of people making these decisions and they really getting deep into it? Because to me, it just doesn't feel like, I don't know. It feels like it was like probably like 4 people just throwing something together. They got tired and they were like, oh, let's keep going and just start throwing stuff at the wall.
I think that this is true, by the way. That horror critic. I think that Nosferatu is scarier than Dracula. I mean, I think
do too.
Dracula is classic and that image is iconic. I mean, I don't know if there's a more iconic image than Bela Lugosi's Dracula, but still, I think that Nosferatu's scarier movie.
Mm-hmm.
A round table of cucks.
Wow.
Jesus.
So we're going on number 70. Now, number 70, I've never seen personally, but I've heard a lot about this movie. So I say it's anything wrong with it. I actually thought when I watched it, I was like, you know what? I do want to see this because I feel like it looks like something that I would probably like. So let me know in the comments if what you guys think. And Uncle Bill, I don't know if you've seen this either.
I have
it's
not
called
seen
The Night
that.
House. And it's recent. I think it came out within the last couple of years. And I remember there was a lot of hype around it. And who did The Night House? It was somebody that I think came out with something recent as well, because I keep hearing people talk about The Night House. And that's at number 70. Now, it's probably a pretty good movie based on what I hear. But is it above a lot of the ones we talked about today? I don't know.
It's
if
another
anybody's
one.
in here knows.
I'd
Night
never
House.
heard of this movie, man. Like, I'd never heard anybody
Yeah.
talk about it. I'd never, like, heard it referenced. I don't know if is it like a Netflix movie, or is it...
Somebody said I think it was an HBO Max original or something.
Oh, okay. But, I mean, another one where the premise behind it is interesting from the way they were describing it. I would like to see it. Like, I'm not beyond, like, wanting to see that. It's just one that I have no knowledge about. Video Knob, yeah.
Video Knob. You know what else too, man? I'm not used to seeing you in the chat, so make sure you're subbed to my channel, Born to Be Rad, and Dead Pit Radio, because I've never seen you in the chat before, so thank you for popping in. A couple other people too. If this is your first time here, make sure to give us a follow. We're going to do this every week, and you know we've always got other things going on. We've got a big show tomorrow night as well. Yeah, it doesn't deserve to be a top 100.
No, and I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it deserves to be above probably a lot of these classics, but the list is a work.
It's a work. Yeah.
Um,
It wouldn't be in my top 500.
But would anybody know? Is this available on physical media? Does anybody know? Or is this still like I have to hunt it down on HBO if I ever want to watch it?
Oh, I see. So the director's doing the new Hellraiser movie, so that makes sense.
Oh, okay. That's where I've heard that. That's why that's been coming up.
And they probably put that on the
Still
list
high on the list to get us ready.
just to hype that guy up or something.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
So here's another. Most everybody on here is saying if they've seen it, like it should not be on this list. So I don't know. It makes me not as psyched to see it now.
Working the horror movie market.
Working the horror marks, brother.
So Night House is a Blu-ray. All right, I'll get it just to check it out. But yeah, that's at 70. So I'm very
yeah. I'll still watch it, but like I don't know. I don't know if that should be like that. Okay, but number 69, I absolutely agree with this pick. I maybe put it a little bit higher too, if not for the fact that it's not just a horror film, it's more of a sci-fi film and an action film, really. Is number 69 is Aliens. So the sequel. Saw this movie when I was 6. I think that's when it came out in 86 at the theater. And fucking loved this movie from that point on. I think Lance Henriksen's amazing in this movie. I think Sigourney Weaver's amazing in the movie. Michael Biehn. Pretty much everybody in the movie, the direction, everything in the movie works for me.
Yeah, I can't say much different. I love Aliens. I think it's a great one. As a younger guy, I always preferred Aliens, but now going back, I prefer Alien now personally. But I think Aliens is still a fantastic movie. And I'm going to tell you right now, between Aliens, that facehugger is something that legitimately scares the hell out of me, and it always has. Like that creature in itself, like. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the idea of it being on your face and sticking that thing in your throat and putting its tail around your neck, the way it walks, the legs. Something about that thing like literally scares the hell out of me. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It's creepy. Facehugger, man, that thing. No joke.
I really think that when people think about like Alien or Aliens, that's when the way that they're thinking about how the aliens in that series look, and I think everything iconic except for the chest burster scene, comes from aliens. Like the mother, the queen alien, and the other like aliens, little face huggers that when they scamper around, Newt. Like everything about that movie is just amazing to me, and it still holds up to this day. Especially too, like there's a lot of quotable lines in that fucking movie too. Like "Game over, man," like that.
I was
gets
just going to say,
quoted
game over,
like, constantly.
Game over.
I don't know if
agree,
they're.
man. You know, it's tough because I don't know. Like, I think, is this a good spot for Aliens, or would that even be considered higher on a list as well? But it's good to see it on here. And like I said, the scene that they chose in it, there's so many iconic scenes in Aliens, but they chose the facehugger scene when it was locked inside that infirmary or whatever with with the little girl and Sigourney Weaver and stuff. And man, that to me was a freaky scene, no doubt.
I think the scene that always stays with me from that movie is the scene where they first come up on the aliens, and then they like the Sarge dies and everybody gets pulled under, and like they're all coming up from like underneath and above them, and all that imagery that's going on. Like that's an amazing action sequence throughout that. So most people are pretty much on the Aliens. I can't imagine not liking Aliens. Like, who's the fucker that just does not like Aliens?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think both movies are pretty well, loved.
Yeah. So
Alien 2. 68. 68 I think is polarizing movie. Do I think it should be below some of the ones we talked about? No. I think it's a pretty effective horror movie over the last, I don't even know, 10 years or whatever it's been? Sure, I think it is. And that's Babadook. The Babadook.
You mentioned this one. I think you mentioned it. You were like, that's going to be on the list.
Oh, it's going to be high, right? Like,
yeah.
I knew it was going to be on this list somewhere. I think it deserves to be on the list. Babadook is interesting to me because I like it. It was pretty scary. It was pretty unique, but there was a lot about it that I didn't care for. Like the kid, I didn't really like that much. He was pretty annoying. But I don't know. I guess I'm fine with it being where it is on the list. The only thing I'm not fine with is, things that are behind it that should obviously be higher on the list. But Babadook is something I think deserves to be on here. What do you think?
I saw it maybe twice, and I could never really like tell you if I liked it or didn't like it. It just, I mean, I know I didn't hate it, but it was always kind of there for me. Like there were other movies that did things like that. Like I thought that were a lot better movies. The concept of like this woman that goes kind of mad throughout the process of finding out what this thing is, and she starts having these images about wanting to kill her son. I mean, shit, man, The Shining kind of did that like 40 years ago, but it was, like a dude with it. So I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people that mark out over this movie. I think the best part of the movie was the book that he keeps like opening up and reading and everything. And that was the scariest part of the movie to me. Mm-hmm. And they don't really even reference it that much in this.
Now, you wonder about the kid, though. I see a lot of people in the chat saying how much they hated the kid. I honestly did not like the kid at all. It was almost to a point where he was a distraction to the movie, I think. Like, he was so overly annoying, it almost made you feel uneasy because he kept shrieking and all this other stuff in the background. And, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it was done on purpose to make the movie just a very irritable movie because that kid was always just so loud and obnoxious. But he sucked, and I don't know if it was done on purpose or not.
That was my thought. Was like, there's no way that this kid, like, they must have told him just be like as aggravating as you to kind of ratchet up the tension more, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
If not, then that's just like the most
unlikable
kid of all time. If not, yeah. There's a lot of people.
CK's in the chat. He's pissed. He's saying, "Why is there only 15 likes?" So that means like the vid, guys. If you're on my channel, he's CK is not happy right now.
Guys,
he's supposed to be off tonight, but look, now he's coming in and causing a ruckus.
wait, is this
hit the like button and give it a break? What's up?
is this Amira or is this Adam Dickjoy / Buzzkill Beck? I don't know if he's using that account or if it's her, but either way, it's great to have you on here. Also, there's over 80 people in here right now, so if you could just do us a favor and click some shit and do some bells and whistles and notifications, that would be awesome.
For on that like.
All right, so yeah, everybody hates the kid, but the movie itself, to me, was just okay.
Remember there was like this weird thing where all of a sudden like there was like this.
He's got explicate.
So why? That's so funny. We haven't seen him at any conventions. How no one goes up to his table, like they're all just like flipping him off.
That's so true. Like nobody wants to see that kid at all. And anyway,
Jack Frost says he dislikes the video to keep it balanced. I love it.
He disliked it.
Thanks, appreciate it.
This next one, I was thrilled to death that it got on here. Should it be higher?
Oh, listen,
probably.
Now, I agree. Like, I think, in my personal opinion, I would have wanted it to be higher. But I'm actually shocked that it is. Are you kind of shocked that it even is being talked about?
Yes, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't think they would bring that up at all. This movie.
Now, here's the interesting thing about this movie is, my uncle. It's probably his favorite movie of all time, and he's a huge.
I worry about your uncle.
He's what got me into horror, right? So, as a teenager and in my 20s, like, this movie was such a big deal because he was such a uber fan of it that, like, he showed me books about the making and all this stuff, and like, you know, he's getting editions from like Europe, and then he's, you know, getting them for me and all these different editions. So like, this movie is something that I grew up, you know, in my late teens into my 20s, like really as like put on a pedestal of horror movies, like, to me. So I've always been a fan of this movie, but obviously now this movie doesn't hold up well going into like the 2022. It's not looked back on as a great horror movie, but growing up, it was always, to me, built up as like one of the greatest exploitation / horror movies around, blah, blah, blah. And now it's at a point where it's almost like looked down on, I feel like, because of the nature of the movie, like just because what the world is now.
Yeah.
And you could even tell when these people are talking about it, it's like they might like it, but they don't want to really admit liking it. Did you notice that?
That was the impression. Everybody that mentioned this movie were kind of like, well, you know, I had a hard time watching it, and now it's not something that I enjoy watching, or like it was a hard watch for me to get through. And it's just like, look, man, like movies like this, exploitation style movies, are not supposed to be like safe or easy to get through or anything like that. They're supposed to be hard to watch. So I don't know what they're bitching about. But anyway, if we haven't mentioned that it's Last House on the Left.
We haven't mentioned it yet. Yeah. It's Last House on the Left, the original one. Which, again, I'm going to come out and say I like Last House on the Left. Do I think it's a hard watch? Yeah, I thought the remake was a hard watch too, personally.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, anything that involves rape to me is a little bit is a very hard watch. But I don't know, I think when it comes to the movie like this that was just made so long ago, that I can kind of look past it as just, all right, it's kind of a revenge movie. And I just think it was a very unique movie. And if it wasn't a unique movie, they would have never made a remake of it. They would have just left it alone and kind of never talked about it. But this movie got a remake during the remake craze, so it has to be pretty, you know, a pretty important movie, I think.
Yeah, I think
and
it's
it was from Cunningham and Craven, right? So
yeah,
you know, you get that.
It's, to me, it's like one of the most effective films ever made. Like, it's right up there with like Texas Chainsaw in terms of like how effective it is when you watch it. Like, still to this day, you can go and watch it, and you're just like, it just feels like it's real, and it feels like all that stuff is going on, and it's something you should not be watching, and like it's just really uncomfortable. And that's true, but like there's a lot of movies that are great that do what they're supposed to do that are really uncomfortable. So I don't look at it like you have to be like, oh, it's got some naughty scenes in it, so I can't like it. It's like, or some.
Don't you feel that this is a movie that's really looked down on now? Where I feel like within like, I don't know, if you would have told me 10 years ago, more people would have been like, Last House rules. Like, there's been a definite turn on this movie, and
people are just full of shit.
There's other movies, like people. I think more people would like praise Ebola Syndrome than to praise Last House Left at this point.
Which is weird because, like, the stuff that happens even in the Sadness is like 1,000 times more extreme, but Last House on the Left is more effective because it looks like it could really happen. And it could really happen and probably has really happened. And that's what makes it so terrifying. So, I mean, I don't understand what people want from movies anymore, I guess is what I'm getting at. Like, to me, like, you want something that's you're going to have some sort of intense emotion when you watch it, whether it be happy, sad, just whatever, disgusted, something, like some sort of emotion.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I don't like a lot of these kind of, over the top, hard to watch movies like Cannibal Holocaust. Like, I hate that stuff. But again, Last House was always just front and center of like me in collecting horror that I think it's an effective movie. That's the best way to put it, I think, is that it's an effective horror movie. And it's got great music. You got Martin Kove in there. You got John Kreese, Sensei Kreese, early movie. It's
ridiculous how young he looks in that movie too.
So if you like Cobra Kai, you can check out Last House. But if you don't know the story, and I don't really want to get into it, but like just where they make that swerve at the end of like what ends up happening and them going to the house and stuff, like that's just a very, I don't know, it's just an interesting, it's a very different story. Owen Hart's in it?
He's in here.
He's going nuts.
Yeah.
But that's my thoughts on it, because I know a lot of people don't like this movie, especially now. I think if we asked this question 10 years ago, we had a lot of different answers. And it was just interesting to see how these people that were doing this, they almost didn't feel like they wanted to talk about it, which I'm sure at all points, all these people like Ryan Turek, you're trying to tell me that he never was a big Last House fan ever. I'm sure he was.
Yeah, he was. Like,
I'm sure he probably helped with the damn remake back.
It may like, I don't know, man. Like, I think people are just really confused nowadays about entertainment. It's like, just because you like something in a movie or you like a particular movie for a reason does not mean that you condone the shit that happens in the movie. Right. I think people are just
like, tomorrow I'm doing that.
Yeah, it's like, I like Friday the 13th, but I'm not going to go out and fucking murder people with a machete. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like,
when we're done this stream, he's going to walk out and look at the first person he sees and say, "Piss your pants."
Yeah,
that's what you're going to do.
Piss your pants.
They're going to be like, "What?"
Now the exception to that is Steve, who really is this really is the way that he likes those kind of films. There's a reason for it. So here's a question though: I think it will. Will Cannibal Holocaust make the list? I think that after seeing this, I think it probably will.
I think it will, because Shudder did that other segment on Cannibal Holocaust. So if you're going to bring that up in those, like, what was the name of that show that they do?
Which one?
The one where they talk about cursed films.
Oh, Cursed Show, yeah.
Yeah, they did a whole thing on Cannibal Holocaust, which to me means the door is wide open for them to put them on this list. What you got here? Music is on disturbing parts.
Yeah,
right. I've got the soundtrack on vinyl, and what I like about it is the songs, like the Hess music is like, I love it with the harmonica and stuff like that. Mel says she doesn't like Last House, but she plays the music on harmonica. I've heard her. So she at least likes the soundtrack. Which is cool.
So it's one of the most. I don't think I've ever heard another soundtrack like that either, where it's like so disconnected from what's going on in the film that you're just like. I think it makes the film even more like intense somehow or another, because you're just like all this happy like hippie music is playing. Yeah.
It's something you'd see on like a 60s like TV show or something, sitcom, not on like this. Yeah.
No, and but then the one song. There's a couple of banger songs, as the kids say, on on that soundtrack. The Road Leads to Nowhere and
Oh yeah, it's a great one. I love that song.
what's the other one too that they played in the Tarantino film? Now You're
They
on
also
Your Own.
played it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a lot of those songs in Cabin Fever. Was a lot of the Last House soundtrack. If you remember that, that was on that. A lot of those songs were on Cabin Fever as well.
Anyway,
But yeah, guys, this Last House, very polarizing movie, and I'm gonna go out and say like I like Last House as a whole. I think it's an effective horror movie. Like Uncle Bill said, you're not condoning like this is what I like to do. Like it's part of history, right? And the same thing with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, there's certain things that happen in these movies that you're not fans of, but I just think it was an effective horror movie that I think paved the way for other horror movies. And Craven and Cunningham had a lot to do with it. And think about what happened to their careers, right? So, yeah, it is what it is. And I'm a big Hess guy, so rest in peace, David Hess.
Me too.
The next one, I had never seen this movie. You? Number 66 was a movie called Terrified.
I'm sorry, but I don't make it a habit to watch like what did they say it was like
Australian or something.
It was Spanish, but it was like Armenian or something. I don't know what it was exactly, but no, I haven't seen this. Now this one maybe more so than any of the other ones though had some shit in it where I was like, okay, like I could probably see how this would be in the top scariest kind of tier, but
yeah, I mean, it looked intriguing with the little kid sitting at the table and he was just sitting there and he wouldn't move or whatever.
Yeah, that whole sequence was amazing.
Yeah, guys, have you seen Terrified? I mean, I've never seen the movie, but based on what I saw, I'm like, oh, I could see this in the 70s. There's a lot of movies in the 70s that I think should be above it, but I could see this maybe hanging around up here. But I don't think it should be above a lot of the ones we talked about. But again, I haven't seen it to really make that, that judgment.
Yeah,
it's called
Argentinian.
Terrified,
okay, yeah,
Argentinian. Okay.
So, but
they said it's on Shudder.
I'll probably watch it though. They showed 2 clips from it, and both of them looked amazing. Actually, like one of them was where kind of like a la Nightmare on Elm Street, where the woman is bouncing off the walls like back and forth.
Oh yeah,
like,
in the shower. Yeah,
in the shower. And the other one was the scene with the kid where he comes back to life and he's just kind of sitting at the kitchen table. Which whoever did the makeup for that was pretty amazing, dude. Like that they designed that the way that they did, that it looked. And I'm pretty sure that's practical effects too. Like it was an actual kind of like suit of some kind or something. It looked pretty badass. So I'll probably watch that.
And he was just sitting there for like ever. And
yeah,
it was pretty cool. I thought it was a cool segment. But I had never seen it. Now, okay, like a couple of people are saying it's worth a watch. So a lot of people are saying they haven't seen it.
Not Terrifier.
Mark says those were the best 2 scenes in the movie.
I don't think Terrifier will be on this list, although it wouldn't surprise me if it was. But like,
if it is, I'm calling shenanigans. That doesn't deserve to be on this list. Give me a break.
If you don't like Last House on the Left, then you're really gonna fucking hate Terrifier. I guarantee it.
Well, that's the thing. Terrifier is like so beloved, right? And you're like,
yeah.
There's more in that disturbs me to watch than Last House, right? Like.
Yeah, I think Terrifier kind of reminded me of Hatchet, where it was just like blatant special effects just for the sake of doing them with like no story whatsoever, no kind of attempt to have any decent characters in it.
I sound like Ray Romano, huh?
Who the fuck is this?
What do you mean I wasn't born? How old do you think I am, bro?
Listen, I got some bad news for you, Sean. The truth of the matter is that Garrett just really takes care of himself. So, like, he's the same age as we are. I gotta say though, I do not condone this kind of buggery in these chats.
No, that's all good, man.
Wait a minute, is Sean Lane? Is that Oh my god, I don't know who that is.
Stan Lane's brother?
Stan Lane's brother. Sweet Stan Lane. You're right.
Sweet Sean Lane.
Cody Montana is quoting shit from Pink Flamingos, so that's nice. That's a good actual scene too.
I know. Uncle Bill cannot wait to talk about number 65 on this list.
I want to take whoever put this on this list. Now, wait, is 65? Because for some reason my list is like a little bit jacked up. So
Hold
from
on.
66, 65 is not the one I'm thinking of, right? 65.
I don't know unless I was off on here. I think it's the one we're thinking of.
Okay.
65 on my list right now is Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's not even the one. We haven't even got to one I'm most
I know
pissed
what you're
off
going
about.
next. Yeah, that
Yeah.
could be it. So,
but I'm pissed off about this one too.
65, Friday the 13th. And here's what is an interesting thing here is that we talked about this earlier. Like, are these big franchises going to get broken up into like, oh, part 2's here, part 3's here? I don't think so. I think this is Friday the 13th, and this is going to count as all of them. Because as they were talking about the first movie, what they did was they showed all Friday the 13th, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they like went through the whole list. So I'm assuming this is all we're getting for Friday the 13th.
Yeah, like I knew from that moment when they showed like all of those movies, that's what they're gonna do. They're not gonna go back and show any of the other sequels or anything like that. Like it's just gonna be Friday the 13th, which is weird because Friday the 13th doesn't have Jason in it, and Jason is like the iconic kind of presence from those films.
Right.
But I'll say this: people sleep on Betsy Palmer's performance in the original Friday the 13th.
I agree. I think the original is still one of the best.
Like,
If not, in my opinion, it's probably top 3 Fridays, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, that performance is like in my top 10 probably like horror performances of all time. And I really can't watch that movie up until she enters into the movie. Like I think that the original Friday the 13th is boring as shit up until the point that Betsy Palmer comes in. And when she comes in, like it becomes a classic to me. That's just the way I look at it. Like people can disagree, but I don't think it's a very well made movie up until then. But Friday the 13th is for people.
What do you
of our
guys think
era,
right now? Do you think Friday the 13th, the franchise belongs at 65 on this list?
The first one is definitely the scariest. I think, yeah. I mean, in terms of scary, it probably is. The others are just kind of like you know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's to me. I just feel like with just name value, I'm surprised this is this high up on the list.
Was Jason ever scary? That's an interesting question. Cool, but scary.
I found him scary in at least the first 4. The first 2. I thought he was really scary in 3. I'm more of like that look Jason. I'm not a big Kane Hodder Jason personally. But that's just me. I like him more in like 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I think that definitely in 2 and 3 he was scary. I thought Richard Brooker in 3 was probably like the most effective one, and then just the idea of him like being like an inbred mountain man was also kind of effective.
Mm-hmm.
That was the years of when they were doing a lot of inbred mountain men killer movies.
Yep.
So most people, are saying
you're excited for the next one. 64. Man,
these two back to back. I was like, okay, like up to this point, I've let all this shit slide, right? Like we've gone through the Changeling being like in the 80s. We've got stuff like the Wolfman that's been like in the 80s or 90s. Stuff that definitely should have been higher on the list. But this one was the one that pisses me off personally the most, which is the fact that these assholes that made this list at number 64 put the original Dawn of the Dead. Now listen.
Do you think T-Shirt Joe made this list?
He probably no. If he made this list, it wouldn't even be on there. Like, how? Like,
I mean, the thing is, I mean, at least it's ahead because we already saw the remake, right? It was earlier, correct?
yeah, the remake was last week, I think. Like,
So at least it's above the remake, which would have been brutal if it was the other way around. But I don't think it deserves to be in the 60s.
I just think that,
Um,
yeah, man. Like, somebody out here said it's a masterpiece. You know, I think it's a masterpiece. Like, I mean,
Hey, it's one of my, when I think of iconic horror films, it's top 5 for me.
I
No
thought,
question. I mean, I prefer it over all of the other ones.
I thought honestly that at least it would be in the top 20. Like, I knew it wouldn't be like in the top couple because they just don't make lists like that. Like, the same films over and over again are always going to be in like the top 5, and I think we know what those ones are going to be. But I thought at least it would be in the top 20. To put it at 60, whatever, 62, whatever, that's fucking ridiculous, man. Like, there's so many iconic scenes in that movie, and basically, like, practical makeup effects themselves as we know them evolved from this movie. It's like such an iconic film that still gets quoted to this day. Shameful.
Do you think, do you think at this point, like Return of the Living Dead hits this list? Probably not, because how could you put it
I don't
above
know.
this, right?
Well, another thing I was thinking is like Day of the Dead going to be on here? Is it going to be
Oh, it's
higher
gotta
than
be.
Dawn?
It's gotta be. It's gotta be. I would think it has to be.
Because to me, that just pisses me off even more.
I think Dawn is more effective than Day, personally. I can understand why Night of the Living Dead is going to be up there. I get it. It's fine. But yeah, I thought Dawn was just a very, very effective movie. And old Curly Jaws is saying Diaries ahead of stop.
Yeah.
But I agree. It's pretty high for this movie. Somebody else just put in here something very interesting. Is they said Bravo's 100 list, Dawn was way up there.
Look, any list
39 on Bravo's list. There was 39.
any list you make about influential horror films or of any kind, whether it be like top moments, scariest moments, that movie should be higher. Like, it should be in the top 20. It just should. Because, like, to me, Night of the Living Dead was iconic and everything, but that movie ushered in a whole new era of movies. Just in general. Just like Night of the Living Dead did with, Creation of Zombies, Dawn of the Dead did with, like, moving, like, makeup effects and gore and stuff like that, like, into a whole other area that would become the 80s. So, plus, not to mention the fact that it's just a fucking great film. Like, if you just take out the zombies, it's a great film. So, I don't know.
I can only imagine what you would do in watching this. Every time they pick in the thing, and you're like, what the heck is going on?
During this part, I was like, what the fuck? Like, they're going to put Friday So we've got Evil Dead, Friday the 13th, Dawn of the Dead, like all these just like classic movies. And then they're going to have Midsummer's going to be like above all this shit. Or
when we're watching the show, it's like we're watching the Royal Rumble to see who's coming out next. You're like, oh,
yeah.
damn it.
Yeah, exactly. So some people say
Day's going to be on there.
Yeah.
It's got to be, you would think.
Dawn is perfect, he says, but slow stumbling zombies in the mall isn't scary. I guess, man. I mean, it fucking creeped me out a lot when I was...
Oh my god, somebody made a good point. He goes, I bet Cabin in the Woods will be on it. Ah, man, you know what? It probably will be on it.
It will be. It'll be higher than all this shit because it's one of those meta movies that people love, yeah. So now that we got over 100 people on here, why don't you like this, thumbs up, notifications, yada, yada, yada. Day is pretty dark and uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm not going to be upset that much if Day gets on there because I love all those original trilogy, but...
Jeepers Creepers will be on this list, I think.
Yeah,
the first one will be. It'll be way up there, probably. It'll probably be in like the 30s. Martin, I doubt it'll be on the list, but hey, I mean, maybe.
It 100% will be. I don't think Martin will, but I think that Jeepers Creepers will be, yeah.
And and everybody says that too. Like, we'll probably see Cabin Fever on here, and and Hostel's going to probably be way up there. I bet. That's messed up. Well, we got one more left, and then we can kind of go back to the chat and just get you guys' opinion on week 3, episode 3. And number 63 is where we ended off tonight, and that is with Peeping Tom, which to me, I'm like, I'm fine with it here. Like, that deserves to be where it is, I think.
The only time I ever hear anybody referencing Peeping Tom is when anybody talks about Halloween being like the first movie to use like a killer's point of view shot. Whenever that happens, there's always like a couple people that are like in the chats are like, no, Peeping Tom did it first. Like, that's the only thing I ever hear about Peeping Tom. Nobody ever talks about the movie. Nobody ever talks about the plot or anything. This is the first time I'd ever even heard what the plot of Peeping Tom fucking was, to be honest. So
now somebody says it's super out of print. I have a Peeping Tom Criterion. It might be a DVD. What format is this? Does this have a Blu-ray? What's up, Ken Mid-Level? What up, dude?
Kenny Levels. This is on Criterion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the one I have, a Criterion one.
Have you?
But
have
I don't
you
know
watched
if
it?
I might have a Criterion DVD. I don't even know if I have it on Blu-ray. Are you serious, horror critic? Or are you just messing? He said Bravo did an even scarier movie moments, and Hostel was number 1.
Oh,
really?
Fuck. I hope not. I hope he's just kidding around. That would make me just sad for humanity.
Oh, so I guess the Criterion I have is really out of print. It's the last one. It's the only way you can get it.
Yes, that's another thing. The lack of Argento on this list is very concerning. I'm willing to bet the only Argento movie that makes this list might be Suspiria.
You don't think that dude, we have 60 more movies to go. Like, that's a lot, I feel like.
I don't know, man. Like, maybe they're proving
like
wrong.
things like Lost Boys, they're not going to be on this list. They can't be.
Hey, it'll be
even though it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be on here, I doubt.
I mean, okay.
So,
what
like,
about
that's why I'm curious, like, what's going to be on here?
You got to take into consideration like the big ones, right? You got Night of the Living Dead, you got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you got Halloween, you've got Nightmare on Elm Street,
Jaws, Shining,
Alien will be on there, Shining. I'm looking around.
Misery will probably be on here.
I mean, you're gonna have a lot that'll take up probably the top 20. Will like
Saw,
a bunch of
Conjuring, Insidious, you'll get all them.
Yeah, all that nonsense will be on there. But like, will they have like room for Argento movies? Like, there's probably 4 Argento movies I would put on this list, but I think they'll only pick Suspiria. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Does Phantasm make
Wes
it?
makes a good point. Yeah, that's the thing. I doubt it. I doubt it will. It should, but I don't know. Phantasm is not one that people talk about often enough, like in the mainstream. But at the same time, like, I feel like people don't talk about Salem's Lot either, and that made the list. So who knows? You think we'll probably see The Fog? You think probably?
There hasn't really been any Carpenter stuff on here yet, has there?
Mm-mm.
Has there been one Carpenter movie on this damn list yet? If not, then there's going to be several that are going to be high up.
I think Prince of Darkness should be on here.
I feel like The Fog will definitely be there. Halloween will definitely be there. Let's see. What else?
Oh, yeah. Sixth Sense will be on here. Yes, it will.
God.
Jurassic Park will be on here.
The Wizard of Oz, maybe. It could be.
It is, I will say, the one thing I like about this series, it's always intriguing to kind of see what they're putting on there. And like today, based on all these that we talked about, the only one I'm like really kind of like, I don't know if it should even been on this list, is that first one, Annihilation or whatever.
I don't either. I mean, I don't agree with all this stuff.
Night House, I'm hearing it's good, but I mean, is it classic top 100 worthy? I don't know.
I think that They Live will be on there too.
You think so?
I do, man. Yeah. I mean, just in terms of how iconic that the movie is, I think it'll be on there.
Wes doesn't think The Fog will be on here. It's got to be.
I mean, if they're going for scariest, then yeah, The Fog will be on there because that movie's based around like scares and things like that.
I mean, I think Prince of Darkness needs to be on this list, no doubt. I think that's a freaking really effective movie.
There's scenes in Prince of Darkness that probably are scarier than any of the other stuff he's ever done.
I even think like a movie like Mouth of Madness has some scary shit in it, but I don't know if that would make this list.
Yeah.
I agree. Like in Alice, Sweet Alice, like I kind of feel like that might get bumped. Mid-level knows he knows Annihilation. That's the scene they talked about, brother, was the bear scene. And that was that made this list at number 6 at number 75. Werewolf in London, somebody asked about. That was like in the 90s already.
That's another one.
But we know
that's
like the
another
Howling
one that
will be
pissed
on
me
here.
off. Yeah. Event Horizon, maybe.
Oh, Blair Witch. Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah,
definitely will be.
Yeah. They'll be like, that guy standing in the corner scared the shit out of me.
Hey, dude, that still scares me. I'm gonna tell you, that's like one of the movies
is.
that still scares the hell out of me. I even feel like Insidious was pretty effective when I first saw it the first time.
Me too.
Some of the scares.
Well, CK and I saw it, and we were both like, when we walked out there, we were like, yeah, that actually worked. That was like, a lot of the stuff in that movie actually worked. What about Paranormal Captivity?
Oh, Paranormal will be on here. I see somebody says Halloween 3. Dude, you know what? S'mores indoors. I agree. The bear attack scene in Back Country, I don't know if you guys have seen it, is pretty terrifying. Based on Annihilation and what I saw of the bear scene here, the door creak will be number one. I think that Back Country was more effective than what I saw in the Annihilation that they showed.
I think The Revenant was more effective than what they showed, actually. If you're going for CGI bears. Yeah.
Hereditary and Midsommar will make it, no doubt.
Yeah.
Hereditary, I think, is going to probably crack top 10, I think. And
yeah, there's no chance Night of the Living Dead's not on this list. Like, it'll be on there.
I bet Final Destination's on here.
Probably.
Video Knob asks, no, I didn't, but if you check out Dead Pit Radio, Wes did an unboxing or something, so.
What about The Orphan? That would be
awesome. I bet it does. It will. Especially now with the sequel and stuff.
Yeah, they're going to hawk that sequel. Come on. And this is probably the comment that overall sums it up. This list doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
So, I mean, overall, what do you think so far about the list? Like, I think this would be hard to do for anybody. Like, if I made a list of 100 movies that I thought were the scariest and then started showing it, there'd be a ton of people that would give me shit, too, because I would put stuff in there that, like, I'm sure people wouldn't agree with. So, it's impossible to make a list that everybody likes. But I think some of this shit is just absolutely kind of ridiculous. Like having The Evil Dead or Dawn of the Dead or, The Fly or some of these things like that far down on the list is kind of, that's a no-brainer to me.
I agree. I think any kind of list when you're talking big numbers like 100 is going to be difficult. Like, I mean, it has to be. I don't know how many people it took to kind of create this list, and obviously, if there was favoritism on certain things, if I made a top 100 list, nobody's gonna agree with it. Not everybody's gonna agree with it. Not at all. I would have a tough time even making it. Ken from Mid Level was saying the other day he's gonna make a top 100 movies of his favorite movies ranking list, and I'm like, I don't even know how I would do that ever.
I don't either.
Like it just
changes.
It's hard, man. So I have to give it to him. I'm more or less looking at what movies are being mentioned, which is cool, and what's not being mentioned, and at the same time, like, it's interesting to see which ones are getting put higher on this list, just to see if it makes any sense or not. So I think it's a fun show. That's why we're doing this, to kind of give you guys a little bit of a heads up. If you don't have Shudder, exactly what we're doing here is just talking through their list and critiquing it, and what we think of the placement of the rankings.
So I can go through them again here real quick.
Yeah.
75 was Annihilation. 74 was Cujo. 73 was The Fly, the Cronenberg version. 72 was The Wicker Man, the original, thank God. 71 was Nosferatu, the original again. 70 was The Night House, which I've never heard of. 69 was Aliens. 68 was The Babadook. 67 was Last House on the Left. 66 was Terrified. 65 was Friday the 13th, the original. 64 was Dawn of the Dead, the original. And 63 was Peeping Tom. So, that being said, I mean, it's decent, man. Like, so far, Dawn of the Dead has been the only thing that really, well, Evil Dead and Dawn of the Dead have been the only two that really, really pissed me off. That I feel like it's just kind of ridiculous, the placement. But, you know, so far I thought they did a good job. And I enjoy watching it, too, by the way. Like, because it also turns me on to some movies that I've never heard of that I actually kind of want to see now, so...
Yeah, I agree, and it's an easy watch too. It's only like 40 minutes or something like that to get through like their whatever each episode is for an amount of numbers. So it's a quick, easy watch for us to kind of do to get the show ready. So again, I definitely like doing it. I think this goes all the way to Halloween, I believe, every Wednesday until Halloween. So that's cool that we'll just kind of have like an ongoing show, and hopefully you guys like it. And definitely leave down in the comments below anything that we talk about that you agree with, not agree with. I know the chat's been pretty back and forth on a lot of stuff. So awesome, you guys, for coming out and hanging with us on a Wednesday evening. Make sure to hit that like button, sub to Dead Pit Radio or Born to Be Rad if you have not. And guys, tomorrow night we have our big show. And what are we doing tomorrow night, UB? We're going late night, like 11:30, right? Yeah,
that's what we always start on these Vinegar Syndrome sales. Around 11:30, just so we can get pumped up, we can get amped, we can talk about like what's going on, and apparently like this is going to be a big one. Like everything that I've heard through the grapevine, through all these different kind of sites, is that there's going to be some big name releases that are going to come out on this one. So we'll see. Vinegar Syndrome is either hit or miss with this kind of shit. Like either you're going to be severely disappointed, or they're going to have one or two titles where you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe they actually got these titles, but I look forward to it anyway tomorrow night.
Well, you know what's interesting about this part of their, like, I don't even know what to call this, pre-Black Friday sale. It's not even a sale, I don't think. This is not the one with the real sale.
No, this is the one that's going to
give us, like... Yeah, but you know what? Last year, this was a good... Was it? I don't know if it was, like, last Black Friday or whatever. Like, there was one where I think they give you a couple of, like, the big bundle that's coming and then a couple mystery ones, but the price point is so low on the bundle that we, like, made out like bandits last year because we all just said, screw it, there's enough here in this bundle for us to get it. It had, like, Thriller, it had Cloak and Dagger, it had, I'm trying to think, there was some other ones on there that I'm like...
Wasn't Horror High and Stanley on there, too?
Yeah, that's what it was. And like, Miami Connection or something, and I'm like, man, just
Miami
this
Connection
list alone, like, it's worth $200. Because I think Thriller went out of print and it was like $80 by itself or something. So I'm hoping that we get a couple good releases tomorrow that it would just be worth buying the bundle for nothing, get free shipping, and then, you know, hope for the best when it comes to the hidden titles.
Just from what
I'm
I've
excited
seen
for tomorrow.
Just from what I've seen them talking about, where they're talking about, you know, slashers that have never been released on Blu-ray or some that have never even been released, period. Like, that gives me a lot of hope for whatever's going to be on this. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so guys, tomorrow night, 11:30 p.m., come hang out with us. We're going to do simulcast, so either on my channel or Dead Pit Radio's channel. And CK will be with us as well, kind of hosting. So definitely come back tomorrow night. And thank you all, guys, again for jumping on and hanging with us today. If you haven't gone back, watch episodes 1 and 2 to get an idea of what made the 100 and all the way down to the 75 number list. So thanks again, guys. This is Garrett at Born to Be Rad and
Uncle Bill at Dead Pit. Do it, you son of a bitch. Do it, Garrett.
.com.
Bye.
Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe. And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a if you do.
I want you to. I want you to.
I don't care.
Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to do nothing.
Listen, they need to do that, pal.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up. Subscribe. And click that bell.
For this video officially ends, Oh Curly Jaws has a message for you. Go on over to shop.deadpit.com and go look at their Team Public store right now. You've got some new shirts like the Oh Curly Jaws official t-shirt, which is brutal and badass. You got the Yummy Gummy shirt with the captain himself on the shirt. You got Uncle Bill's face on a fucking shirt. You got the Final Girl shirt. You got all these shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Get them before they're all out, especially the new one, Bedtime 1039. It doesn't get better than that, so go on out. Check out these shirts at shop.deadpit.com. Go look at their Team Public store. You're going to have a good old time. Get them all!
Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. Dead Pit on Patreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows and fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.